politically incorrect, Bill Maher. Bill's guest tonight, comedian Paul Rodriguez, Georgia Representative Jack Kingston, Chairman of the Democratic National Convention Terry McAuliffe, and law professor Darlene Kennedy.
All right, thank you. That's very nice of you. Thank you for putting on a brave face. I'm sure it's a big letdown the day after the Republican convention. How many watched most of the convention? You're lying. Anyway, no, it did not get very good ratings. It was sort of the opposite of Survivor. They were going to narrow it down till there was one viewer left. That's, yeah. Some people, do you know that you could watch the entire convention on the internet site for the convention? Wow, that must be exciting. Too bad somebody already took the name Napster. There's, but that's all right. But I tell you, now George Bush, he did make a very effective speech. I was very impressed, and he went off on the trail today. But there is a controversy. The Democrats are saying, and I'm sure we'll hear about this tonight, that he was playing fast and loose with the facts about how unready our military was. So there's a big argument over who would be better to lead the military, George Bush or Al Gore. It's a tough fight because, of course, they both, during the Vietnam era, proved very good at evasive maneuvers. And it's all right. It was actually one of the shortest speeches that Bush made, very effective, but one of the shortest speeches ever at a convention for a keynote speaker, for a guy accepting the nomination. George Bush today said he had a lot more stuff written down, but the dog ate it. And but he's off on the trail. He said he was so excited that he wasn't able to sleep at all last night, but of course, he got used to that in the 70s. Let's meet our panel. She is a conservative policy analyst and law professor at Virginia's Regent University, Darlene Kennedy. Darlene, where are you? Hey. Good to see you, honey.
How are you?
Thank you for coming back. The only Republican to represent Georgia's 1st District since Reconstruction, Congressman Jack Kingston. Congressman, there you are, Congressman. I can't get used to it when the congressmen don't wear suits. He's the very busy chairman of the Democratic National Convention right here next week. Terry McAuliffe is right over here. Oh, Terry, I love you.
Great Cowboys, big Democrats.
And one of my favorite comedians of all time. He is performing in the Yokiro, did I say that right, Comedy Jam Tour. It will be coming August 12th to Saugus, California, and August 18th in Sacramento. Mr. Paul Rodriguez, right over here.
Thank you.
How are you?
Fine.
Okay. Well, what good timing that you are here, because last night at the convention was Latino night. I don't know if you noticed that each night they had sort of a theme. The first night was Ladies' Night or Black Night, or, you know, this is the new inclusive Republican Party.
Half-price night.
Right. So they had a guy make a speech for 5 minutes in nothing but Spanish. Show a clip of this, because I think it's interesting to watch the end of it. There he is.
And I respect leaders who respect my heritage.
Oh, that's
Como el
George
líder de
Peabody.
Texas, mi tío ha creado más oportunidades para nuestra gente que cualquier otro político.
And that, as you can see, wow, they found a black delegate. Anyway,
You should see him when George Bush spoke.
yeah.
You know what's really funny is that Spanish was so good I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
You know, that's really good Spanish. And what's really funny is that he was actually saying, you know, my uncle is irresponsible.
And Paul, what's worse than that is I was up cheering for it.
Is that right?
I had no idea.
My uncle is irresponsible, but he's got really good cocaine. Cheap joke, right?
But
because everybody knows, you know, presidents should not be on cocaine. That's for mayors and stuff, you know.
yeah, that's exactly. But what do you think now? The Republicans have always opposed bilingual education. And I must say I agree with them on that. I've always been with them on that. I think this is America, and when you come to the melting
You
pot,
should speak the language.
You
when
gotta-
you come to this country,
you
talk
gotta-
Spanish.
You got to melt a little. Okay. But isn't it hypocritical of the Republicans wait a second, Jack. Is it not hypocritical to oppose bilingual education, but then when you want their votes, suddenly they're living la vida loca?
It was that.
George P. was not reaching out to the Hispanic voters. He was reaching out to the Gen X women, and they loved it.
I don't get you.
They were there. You got to see he's one of the most eligible. He's one of the most eligible bachelors in the country today, and everybody loved him. I was there with the young ladies and Gen X, like
not
George
even
P.
coming close to answering the question. That is.
He was with it. He was very romantic, and everybody liked him.
Are you gay?
I read People magazine.
You're right. People magazine. That the guy we saw is Bush's nephew, George P. Bush. Okay, and he is a hunk. You're right. I saw signs that said George P. Hunk, and he is. You're right. People said he's the most one of the most eligible bachelors. When the old man heard eligible, he got him a deferment. Anyway.
There's nothing wrong with the Hispanic vote is a large demographic, and there's nothing wrong with attracting them. You can attract a constituency without saying that, without having the Spanish be the main language. I mean, we support English first.
They oppose bilingual education, which means they don't want the people to speak Spanish at the DMV or teachers to speak Spanish. But it's okay to use Spanish to get them to vote for you. That's not hypocritical.
Well, look, we're an inclusive party. As you saw all week, that we are a big tent, and that there's nothing wrong. I mean, the Democrats have done this for years, and all of a sudden, if it's publicized by us, then there's something wrong. Like we have a problem.
My problem is that this might get out of hand. Hillary will be doing Yiddish in New York. And then that's my problem. And then we're going to have Ebonics in Oakland.
They say
what else?
Yeah. All of a sudden they bring these props up. All of a sudden the Republican Party is open to minorities. If you looked out in the audience, 88% of them were white. But they bring these props up and pretend we're open to all the people. I mean, it was a joke. It was a masquerade ball. The masks are coming off for this election. They know that Al Gore is going to fight for the minorities out there, as we have done for 8 years. It's a joke what the Republicans put on for 4 days.
The reality is, in Texas, the reality is, in Texas, African-American and Hispanic fourth graders are the second and first highest in all the country right now.
But we're number one in death row.
In Arkansas.
And death row is number one.
Not in Texas. And in reading...
toxic dump, the worst on the environment. We could go through a litany. It's a disgrace.
George Bush has put so many... George Bush has executed so many people in Texas that now they have an electric couch.
And the murder rate is down.
You mentioned Vietnam. Let's talk about Vietnam. Last night you talked about Vietnam. What a joke. Al Gore enlisted, went to Vietnam on his own. He went to Vietnam. Where was George Bush? He was in the National Guard of Alabama protecting hog farmers.
The Democrat Party cares about military records.
Have you ever been to Alabama?
Where was
this outrage?
Chasing some hogs around. Hey, come back. Al Gore was in Vietnam as a fact.
Where was Bill Clinton? Just for the record.
But wait a second.
You guys want to keep running against Bill Clinton. Al Gore, face reality. Al Gore is running for president, not Bill Clinton.
You realize it.
And quit hiding now. And George, face reality. These guys live in the past.
You know what? The last 8 years, the Democratic Party has watered down the military. If we had to go to war right now, all of our military could do is probably serve donuts to the other side. I mean, the military is about killing people and breaking things. Our military is so watered down.
But honey, I know. I agree that our military needs to be beefed up a little, but we can still kick anybody's ass. We're not exactly... I mean,
you're right.
You're right.
Because we're not exactly Buster Douglas out there, okay?
I think that the mistake the Republicans are making, and I am happy that they are wooing the Latinos for a change, but I think the mistake is if they want to continue to run against Bill Clinton, you're just going to get your ass whooped again.
It won't matter.
Okay.
It won't matter because George Bush will be the next president.
All right. Well, I'm going to get my ass whooped if I don't take a commercial. We'll be right back. issue is, or should be in this election. We had a show a couple of days ago, and I was saying that I think this country has a case of misplaced outrage. They're outraged, so some people say, at the scandals that the Clinton administration perpetrated. I think the real scandal is that our politicians are so beholden to special interests who bribe them. And you're not going to like this.
I agree with you.
I had a Democratic congresswoman on, and Sheila Jackson Lee, who we love having on our show, and she said, was defending the Democrats, and I said, you know what, the Democrats are simply bought by a slightly less scary group of special interests.
The Chinese. The Chinese.
I could just see George W. Bush.
The tobacco company, the cigarette salesman, the gun manufacturers.
How much money did you guys have to return that you got from illegal Chinese?
Wasn't me. I wasn't there.
Well, the DCCC had to return $3 million in Chinese money.
I know, but
the winner of
you guys.
I mean, no problem.
These guys got gun manufacturers, cigarette salesmen, stuffing money in their pockets.
Hey, the winner of the presidency is going to go, I'm going to Disneyland.
Well, wait a sec. The two guys running are oil men on the Republican. That is what scares me.
Yeah,
when oil men are in the White House.
The Houston Oilers. That's what we call them.
You're right. We need to get somebody who's religious like Al Gore who can raise all the money from a Buddhist temple, and then we won't have to worry about it.
You know,
Buddhists aren't going to wreck the environment.
Yeah.
That's right.
And they're not going to give their kids cancer. They're not going to get little guns to little kids either.
You know, Senator McCain had it right with one exception. I agree with campaign finance. I would also target the unions. I just read an article where $15 million that has been raised by unions for this year's campaign, the majority of it has gone to the Democratic Party. I say if it doesn't have a pulse and if it doesn't breathe, shouldn't be given money. You should limit it to giving.
You shouldn't talk about Bob Dole like that. Seriously, he's a nice man.
It should be limited. It should be limited to. It should be limited to individuals. As a matter of fact, I believe Senator
that is not the healthiest party in the
Senator
world.
Abraham are introducing something to get rid of the soft money and to allow individuals.
And I'm all in favor of that. And have full disclosure from individuals and get rid of the cover, because the reality is, Bill, you could take our donor list from Philadelphia and say this is an outrage. All these corporations gave to the Republican Party. Guess what? Take the same list. It'll be sent next week in Los Angeles.
And you know what? And that shows why this system is so corrupt. If they were giving money,
some of it works. You know, because Dick Cheney's going to be supported by Viagra. I can see that coming already. You know.
But Bill, let me say something. Campaign finance from. Wait a minute. Al Gore and Bill Clinton have both said that they would sign McCain-Feingold. You know what?
You know what? Because
the Republicans, they won't send them a bill.
Would you support it? I mean,
Philadelphia, what a joke. If they didn't have the Liberty Bell, which you got up here nailed down, they would have sold that last week in Philadelphia. Gigantic fundraiser up there. Get rid of soft money. But forget legislation.
Terry,
no soft money. Get rid of it. George Bush will not respond to our challenge. Get rid of soft money.
Unlike the Lincoln bedroom, which the Democrat Party would never put up for rent.
You know what? Show me one person that ever said they got there for money. Name me one.
$100,000 a night. It's a good thing there wasn't George Bush.
You know, you're going to have Philip Morris buying the old. You got the young guys there. Where do we get the old?
Fellas, shut up, you two. You're giving me a headache. Here's the real deal.
You know, Bill. Two white guys acting so ethnic. It was. It was like I feel like
but it's like
they're going to do drive-by checkbooks.
What people have to decide.
Here's to you,
right,
Mrs. Robinson.
Do you want to be bought by the insurance companies or the trial lawyers? Do you want
anybody? Just give me some money. Just you know, the great thing about America is that you have the right to be stupid and wrong. It's constitutional, and there's nothing wrong because we have it all here.
And the Democrats have it both ways. They get to be stupid and wrong.
Well, that's why we beat you for 8 years. And you know what? You go up there in Philadelphia. Where were our members of Congress? They all said we're a new party. Show me one member of Congress. Where was DeLay? Where was Army? Where was they hit them all because that's the real Republican Party.
Oh, you got
take away education benefits, who harm America. Let's not show them. Let's hide them.
You know, you can criticize Tom DeLay and Dick Armey, but what you're saying
Terry,
is...
come out of your shell.
Terry, you were offended because we put African Americans and Hispanics on the diet.
Well, I think what he's saying is that, you know, you put all the people on the stage who really aren't the party and kept the people off the stage who are the party.
Bill, everything that we talked about this week is what we've always stood for. Lowering taxes, giving people back their money, making better education, making the schools better for education. So we haven't changed our message. So what if we've added a little bit more?
You haven't changed your message, but you changed your commercial. You changed your commercial.
You're Republican.
I mean, wait a second. When were you...
I didn't know. I didn't know. You're a Republican?
Yes.
I'm proud of it.
Oh, my God. Next thing I know, you're going to join the Mormon church.
All right. We got to take a commercial. We'll be right back.
Join us next week on Politically Incorrect, when Bill's guests will include, from Coyote Ugly, LEANN Rhymes, writer, actor, and director Spike Lee, director John Waters, and comedian D.L. Hughley.
All right. Now, I know you two guys are very partisan. You are, too, and you're not going to admit to anything, but...
I'm not Terry.
Okay. But here's what I think really happened. Okay, the Democrats stole the Republican issues about 8 years ago. You ended welfare. You're the ones who are responsible about the debt and all that stuff. So now the Republicans, their turnabout is fair play, they used to say in Hollywood Squares. They're turning around, they're taking the Democrat side. They're their party of inclusion. They're the ones with the minorities and the touchy-feelies.
I know. For a while there, I felt like I was at a Richard Simmons convention there for a while. I've never seen so many people cry and hug.
You know, one of the problems with these conventions is they have to keep, they've oprahfied it, for lack of a better description. I mean, in order to, you notice that the networks don't show it. You have to turn to C-SPAN to get gavel-to-gavel coverage because the American people just tune out. So unfortunately, the substance is really gone, and you're going to see the same thing with the Democratic Party. You're going to have a lot of fluff and
but that's my
every
question.
time.
How are the Democrats going to switch and pander? Are they going to have a lot of middle-aged, fat, white guys?
You know, the problem is that the Republican convention was wider than the island of Survivor. You know, it was like they kicked off all the black people, and they never had Latinos on there before.
Let me tell you a true story. J.C. Watts organized all the African-American delegates. They had a huge room, a couple hundred. Not one major network showed up for it. And that's one of the problems we have in the Republican Party, is trying to get the message out. And so when we have a convention, you know, we got to showcase some of our inclusion, because on a natural course of media, we don't get that coverage.
But Jack,
and I know.
88, let's just deal with reality for a second. 88% of your delegates are white. Don't be talking like you're the party of African Americans.
Terry, what your problem
Latinos.
is
elect some delegates from minorities.
Terry, you know what's hilarious? We reach out and you get offended. We reach out. You know, I mean, Hispanics or blacks are supposed to like paying more taxes.
Get them off the stage and get them in your crowd. That's all we're asking.
What you're saying is Hispanics and blacks
are supposed to like paying more taxes. Don't use minorities as a showcase. Get them off the stage.
Like the Democrat Party would never do that.
Our delegates keeping them out of the party. We haven't.
They don't want to be in your party.
You brainwash them. That's why Democrats have brainwashed minorities.
No, wait a minute. Paul, practicing law too long.
You're supposed to say, we've got a white guy telling a black woman that they don't want to be in her party and she's Republican.
You guys trying to say against Irish Catholics?
It's the party of Chaka Khan. I saw it.
There you go.
George Bush thinks Chaka Khan is the leader of Zimbabwe, but that's a different story. So my question is, what are the Democrats going to do to counter this? If the Republicans are the party of inclusion now, if they sold that idea and it is all about images, how can the Democrats counter it?
I think ultimately people vote their pocketbooks, don't they? Ultimately people vote their pocketbooks. I got to admit that George W. Bush had an eloquent speech, but the problem they have is he says, they haven't led, we will. You know, the economy is booming, and what direction are you going to lead us, you know? Back to the free cheese Reagan.
Oh, gosh, he's going back to Reagan. Oh, here we go again. I think we're going down the... Wait a minute. He asked about our convention.
As soon as
now we're going to go down the Route 1 highway again.
As soon as Clinton and Gore got in office, what did they do? They raised the taxes retroactively. Okay, so
but it
don't
seemed
talk about...
to have worked. I mean, really.
What
year do we... What year do we have to get to where we don't owe everything to Reagan?
Remember where we were in 1992. Just remember where we were in 1992. This country was in a ditch. We've brought it back. Everybody's moving up for it. Let's go.
I got to take a commercial. We'll be right back, or I'll be in a ditch. Okay, Mom, I promised I wouldn't have people yelling on Monday. We have John Waters, Patricia Hearst, Stephen Dorff, and Bob Larson. Oh, well, maybe I'm wrong. They may be yelling.